Well, on the matter of eating meat, what kind of food do you eat as a Christian? What should you do properly, and so on? Here we go. The Seventh-day Adventists present a health message that recommends vegetarianism and expects abstinence from pork, shellfish, and other foods proscribed as unclean in Leviticus. A little bit hypocritical. They go by the law, Seventh-day Adventists, the Sabbath people, which is not for this age, but they insist it is. But they pick and choose, cherry pick. Well, what about the eating meat? They recommend vegetarianism. Okay, fine. They have a clean idea, but they seem to make it part of their religious faith. And you're not as good a Christian as they are because they follow this diet of their own. But it's not in the law. It doesn't say vegetarianism. And it says, of course, the New Testament, they seem to ignore, unless they want to go after certain passages in the Gospels and the letters that cherry pick their favorite idea, but they take it out of context. Anyway, Seventh-day Adventist Church, including Joseph Bates and Ellen G. White, adopted a vegetarian diet during the 19th century. Ellen White reported received visions regarding the health benefits of a vegetarian diet. So she's rewriting the Bible with her visions. But when they contradict the law, I think I'll go with the law. More recently, members of the Seventh-day Adventist Church in California have been involved in research into longevity due to their healthy lifestyle, which includes maintaining a vegetarian diet. This research has been included within a National Geographic article. Another denomination with common origin, the Seventh-day Adventist Reform Movement, recommends vegetarianism as part of fellowship, with many of its members being practicing vegans as well. Typically, however, these sabbatarian, pro-vegetarian Christian fellowships, and they're not Christian because they don't believe in the gospel of faith alone in Christ alone, so they're not Christian, do not require vegetarianism as a test of fellowship. The word of wisdom is a dietary law given to adherents of the Latter-day Saint movement, known as Mormonism, which states that flesh also of beasts and fowls of the air are to be used sparingly, and that it is pleasing unto God that they should not be used only in times of winter or of cold or famine. So they're rewriting the Bible, even if it's a nuance. Leave it. Get your hands off the Bible. No new revelation until Christ comes again. Unlike injunctions against tobacco and alcohol, compliance with this part of the Doctrine and Covenants has never been made mandatory by the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. However, their influence is tremendous. They all follow these procedures. It's almost like a force of numbers and compliance and subtle acceptance. The largest Latter-day Saint denomination, Latter-day Saints Church. Many LDS church leaders have expressed their views on the subject of meat, but since Joseph F. Smith became church president in 1901, emphasis on refraining from meat has largely been dropped. Interesting. An official church publication states, modern methods of refrigeration now make it possible to preserve meat in any season. As recently as 2012, official church spokesman Michael Otterson stated the church has now also encouraged limiting meat consumption in favor of grains, fruits, and vegetables. So unlike injunctions against tobacco and alcohol, compliance with this part of the Doctrine and Covenants, which is another document by which the LDS Church goes by, has never been made mandatory by the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, the largest Latter-day Saint denomination. Many LDS Church leaders have expressed their views on the subject of meat, but since Joseph F. Smith became a church president in 1901, emphasis on refraining from meat has largely been dropped. But then an official church publication states modern methods of refrigeration now make it possible to preserve meat in any season. As recently as 2012, official church spokesperson Michael Otterson stated the church has also encouraged limiting meat consumption in favor of grains, fruits, and vegetables. They can't leave it alone. Paul wrote what he wrote. You're not writing the 67th book of the Bible. Of note is that the LDS Church owns and operates Deseret ranches in central Florida, which is one of the largest cow-calf operations in the United States. Interesting. Money, money, money. Some members of the Religious Society of Friends, also known as Quakers, practice vegetarianism or veganism as a reflection of the peace testimony extending nonviolence towards animals. Another 67th book of the Bible. Historically, the early vegetarian movement had many Quaker promoters. Some ranter groups, nonconformist Christian groups that existed in 17th century England, were vegetarian. So they're trying to impose extra-biblical lifestyle on other people. Roman Catholic monastic orders such as the Carthusians and Cistercians, follow a pescatarian diet. Carmelites and others following the rule of St. Albert also maintain a vegetarian diet, although the old and sick are permitted to eat meat according to this rule of life. The liberal Catholic movement traditionally had many people who were vegetarians and still have. Well, that's fine. You're welcome to that. I don't know if they're imposing this on their faith or not. Christian anarchists, really? Such as Leo Tolstoy, Ammon Hennessy, and Theodore Monod extend the Christian principles of compassion and nonviolence through following a vegetarian diet. What compassion do they have? These aren't even Christians. Contemporary movements, the Christian Vegetarian Association, CVA, is an international non-denominational Christian vegetarian organization that promotes responsible stewardship of God's creation through plant-based eating. 67th book Bible again. The CVA produced the 2006 film Honoring God's Creation. Are you honoring God's creation when you put a stamp of disapproval on God's sovereignty, saying it's okay to eat meat? SARCS is a UK-based organization which aims to empower Christians to champion the cause of animals and live peaceably with all God's creatures. You can't live peaceably today with all God's creatures. You start living peaceably with a lion, just walk into a cage in the zoo and see how peaceable he is. SARCS publishes interviews with Christian vegans and vegetarians on its website and provides people to speak at churches in the UK on topics such as Christianity and veganism, animal welfare and faith, creation and animals. Creation Kind is an organization which exists to encourage Christians to recognize faith-based reasons. There aren't any faith-based reasons for caring about the well-being of fellow animal creatures used for food and to take practical action in response. Well, you better tell God he's wrong. It was founded by David Clow, professor of theological ethics at the University of Chester, and is directed by Clow and Sarah Withrow King, an American author and deputy director of the Sider Center at Eastern University. Creature Kind produces a course for churches to do which facilitates church groups to think through how Christians should respond to and treat animals. Why don't you just read the Bible and wait for the coming of Jesus Christ and the second coming and get into the new heavens and the new earth? I doubt whether any of these people have the gospel right, because they are so focused on other things that aren't in the Bible. Catholic Concern for Animals, CCA, is a charity which calls Catholics to cherish and care for all of God's creation. CCA has for many years promoted a vegetarian vegan diet as a way of caring for creation, and in particular animals. The group Evangelicals for Social Action have suggested that a vegan diet is a way of demonstrating Christian love and compassion to farmed animals, and argue in particular that this is what is consistently pro-life ethic looks like. Christian Vegetarians and Vegans UK is an organization seeking to promote a vegetarian vegan lifestyle in the church in the UK as well. So, okay, fine. These are all these people who are unbiblical in their points of view, allowing fellow believers to have their own free will choice to eat what they will. So you want to go against that. Certainly you're going to cherry-pick the Bible and probably cherry-pick the gospel out of it. Partial fasting and temporary abstinence. During Lent, some Christian communities, such as Orthodox Christians in the Middle East, undertake partial fasting, eating only one light meal per day. For strict Greek Orthodox Christians and Copts, all meals during the 40-day period are prepared without animal products and are essentially vegan. You know that Lent is not in the Bible. Every day is the day of the Lord. There's no particular seasons or days that you are required to observe, but by your own personal desires to worship. Don't offend a weaker brother. Unlike veganism, however, abstaining from animal products during Lent is intended to be only temporary and not a permanent way of life. I don't know what its purpose is. They'll tell you what it is, but it's not in the Bible. I want to read stuff. I want to read more of what's in the Bible to get my act straight. I've only got a few more years left in this earth. Eastern Orthodox laity traditionally abstains from animal products on Wednesdays because, according to Christian tradition, Judas betrayed Jesus on a Wednesday prior to the crucifixion of Jesus, and Fridays because Jesus is thought to have been crucified on the subsequent Friday, which he was not. Crucified on a Wednesday, the second Passover of the week. You got the Sabbath on Saturday, and then you got the special Sabbath of the Passover on Wednesday, as well as during the 4 major fasting periods of the year. Just take a look at that in the chronology of Jesus' crucifixion under the letter C. Great Lent, the Apostles' Fast, the Dormition Fast, and the Nativity Fast. Catholic laity traditionally abstained from animal flesh on Fridays, and through the Lenten season leading up to Easter, which is a pagan holiday, by the way. Resurrection Day would be better, but they don't do that. Sometimes being required to do so by law. See fasting and abstinence in the Roman Catholic Church. Some also, as a matter of private piety, observe Wednesday's abstinence. That's your private privilege, but don't put it out and publish that other people aren't as good a Christian as you are. Fish is not considered proper meat in any case. See Pescatarianism, though the Eastern Orthodox allow fish only on days on which the fasting is lessened, but meat still not allowed. See, they're making up all this legalisms. They're just like the Pharisees of old. For these practices, animal rights are no motivation in positive environmental or individual health efforts, only a surplus benefit. I would say superfluous. The actual reasoning is to practice mortification and some marginal asceticism, which is not in the Bible. But you want to do that, that's your own private priesthood. Oriental Orthodox, Eastern Orthodox, and Eastern Catholic monastics abstain from meat year-round, and many abstain from dairy and seafood as well. So, Oriental Orthodox, Eastern Orthodox, and Eastern Catholic monastics abstain from meat year-round, and many abstain from dairy and seafood as well. Through obedience to the Orthodox Church and its ascetic practices, the Orthodox Christian seeks to rid himself or herself of the passions or the disposition to sin. Wow, all you can get rid of is confess it. And God, in His grace, purifies it, forgives it, and purifies it. You don't get rid of sin. You're not going to stop sinning. That's legalism. And you think you're going to gain eternal life by that, which is part of the Orthodox Church, Eastern or Catholic. According to canon law, Roman Catholics are required to abstain from meat, defined as all animal flesh and organs, excluding water animals, fish, on Ash Wednesday and all Fridays of Lent, including Good Friday. Ash Wednesday and Good Friday are also fast days for Catholics ages 18 to 60, in which one main meal and 2 half meals are eaten with no snacking. Canon law also obliges Catholics to abstain from meat on the Fridays of the year outside of Lent, excluding certain holy days, unless with the permission of the local. Wow, all this interference with you. You're allowed to polish your nails? With the permission of the local conference of bishops, another penitential act is substituted. So they got their own little Mosaic law. It's not in the New Testament. Exceptions are allowed for health and necessity, like manual labor and not causing offense when being a guest. The restrictions on eating meat on these days is solely as an act of penance and not because of a religious objection to eating meat. 1966, United States Conference of Catholic Bishops. The Conference of Bishops has made substitution of a different penitential or charitable act of option for ordinary Fridays in their territory. After previous abolition, the Catholic Bishops' Conference of England and Wales restored the meatless ordinary Friday requirement for their territory, effective September 20. When I was married to a Catholic woman, I was confused about what had to be done. Certainly interfered with my Bible study. A popular misconception is that Pope Gregory I, who ruled from 590 to 604, and who was also a canonized saint. Geez, I'm a canonized saint. I read my Bible, and I'm set apart to Jesus Christ because I believed in Him. Declared that rabbits were not meat. Oh, okay, it's not me. What is this, fish? This is apparently a corruption of a manuscript in which St. Gregory of Tours